All right, all right. So here we are. Let's wait for a couple of people to come into the room and then we'll get right to it. Welcome, 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 welcome to the people that's going to be on the playback. Thank you for joining us. We're excited. We get to talk about all things paralysis. We got your boy Maceo in the studio. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for giving us some impartation on what it is that you do and what it is that we look forward to from Iconic Visions. We are truly excited and grateful just to have you on the platform today.
Of course, of course.
And
Thanks.
so we want, yes, our absolute pleasure. So we'll just give a couple minutes just to give some people some time to come in.
All right.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We'll be getting started in a few minutes. We appreciate you taking the time to come in the building. We greatly do. Let us know if you have any questions as we go through the interview. That would be great to see what you guys have to say so we could connect you with the producer and the writer of Paralysis. And so, Macy, I'm going to give them like one more minute. At 7:05, we're going to go ahead and just jump right into it.
All right, that's about.
All right. All right, all right. Let's get started. So, guys, we want to say thank you and welcome to Moments with Mo presenting Iconic Visions and Paralysis, the short film. I'm excited to have you on today. And so I just want to introduce you to the man of the hour, Maceo Tendaji. He is the writer and producer, director of Paralysis, the short film. We're going to get into how he got started, where he's going, and all things paralysis. So thank you for joining us on today. Maceo, if you could please do us a favor and introduce yourself and tell us all about who you are and your brand.
Sure, no problem. Once again, Mo, thanks for having me. Thanks for everybody who's logged on and tapping into this conversation. Really appreciate y'all being here. So like Mo said, my name is Maceo Tendaji. Most people know me as Mace. Other people call me Maceo. Other people just call me by my brand, Iconic Visions. And my whole journey with this video production thing started my senior year of high school. It was towards, the end of the school year. So I was preparing for graduation, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do after high school. I was I wasn't a rebellious teenager, but I was going through a rebellious stage at that point.
Okay.
And I was getting into trouble here and there, like ages 16 to 17. I was just hanging around the wrong people, right? And it was a point in time where my father was just like really disappointed in me and like the decisions I was making. And my basketball career didn't go as planned, you know what I mean? So that's all I cared about up until that point was shoes, basketball, and girls. Like that was my in high school. So I was at a stage where I really didn't know where to go. I didn't know if I wanted to go left, right, up, down. I was just lost. And it's this one particular class where we got introduced to video editing or video production. And the assignment was to make a mock commercial for a brand or, some type of company. And I decided to make like a bootleg Red Bull commercial. This is like when Red Bull first got on the scene. And
Okay.
so like my version of Red Bull was wings. Like they used to have that slogan back in the day, Red Bull would give you wings. So I just took the wings part and said, all right, I'm gonna do a spinoff and this energy drink just gonna be called Wings. And so yeah, I wrote it, did the storyboard, went out and shot it, and then I put it together. And I just fell in love with the process. I loved every step of the process of making something, producing something that was just an idea in my mind, and then bringing it into fruition. In that moment, that's when I found my college major, and I found my passion all in that moment in that class. So from there, I went to Virginia State University where I studied mass communications. I wanted to do sports videography, and I also wanted to be on the radio too. Those two things didn't work out. Couldn't get a job after I graduated. I did like 200 something applications. Nobody was hiring me. And I was like, all right, bet I'm just going to go back to school. And ended up going to MICA for film. MICA is a Maryland Institute College of Art. It's a small art college in Baltimore. And that's when I started studying film. And I fell in love with not just making stuff behind the camera, but actually producing art with my camera. And I learned, the difference between film, cinema, and videography. Right, it's two different things. And
So can you do us a favor and expound on the difference between film and videography? Because
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
those that's not in the world, they don't understand the difference between the two.
Right. So videography is you're just capturing events or capturing the moment as is. With cinematography, you're actually producing the world or producing the aesthetic that you want to place your audience in. Right. So with cinematography comes, it's a lot more complex when it comes to different angles, composition, and lighting. That's when set design and hair and makeup becomes more intricate. So it's a lot more that goes into the production, and you're actually producing an image that you want your audience to be affected or impacted by, right? Whether you're telling a story or a concept, you're thinking about lighting, you're thinking about color, you're thinking about the camera angles, camera movement. So it's just a lot more complex than, with videography, you're just capturing the moment. So if you're a sports videography, maybe it's basketball. You're just following the ball, going up and down the court. That's it, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I like to explain it.
Awesome. Like, because we never know the difference, because being
Mm,
those persons that we just want to see the movie, you know what I mean? We just want
right.
to see the video. We don't look at the difference between the two. So Maceo, as we unpack who you are, could you tell us how you gave birth to Iconic Visions and what made you pick Iconic Visions as the name of your brand?
Yeah, sure. So, like I mentioned, after undergrad, nobody would hire me, right?
Okay.
And then after I finished graduate school, I wasn't going to give people the opportunity to not hire me. Again, I said I'm going to go into business for myself, and I'm going to continue to produce. I'm not going to wait for somebody to hand me a job. I'm going to continue to produce my own work. And if it leads to me getting the job, then great. If it doesn't, I'm still going to keep producing. So
Awesome.
after I graduated, I started doing music videos, like very low budget music videos, throughout that whole summer after I graduated. And I'm making like $200 here, $400 here. But by the end of the summer, I was making like $600 per music video. So I was just building my portfolio and building my clientele, and also still learning my craft, and also learning how to make money from my craft as well. When it comes to the term iconic visions, I really that's a testament to the gift that God gave me. I see things when I listen to music. I see things when I hear people talk. I could be walking down the street and I could play out a whole scene just based on some couple walking down the street,
Okay.
not even know what they're talking about, right? So I just have that type of mind where it's very visual. I also have a photographic memory. So I get these visions that come to me, whether it be while I'm daydreaming or dreaming or just brainstorming, just being creative. And I try to make sure that every time I get behind the camera, I produce something that is memorable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Iconic comes from, right?
Okay.
The icon with the Nike swoosh, you know what it is as soon as you see it, right? And I want people to feel that way about the quality of my work. Once they see my work, they can say, "Oh, Mace did that. That's an iconic vision."
Awesome. And you know what? It's amazing because there were a couple of things that you said that stuck out. One, in the beginning, you were talking about the process, that
Mhm.
you enjoyed the process that it took in the beginning when you did your first video.
Right.
And you appreciated the process. It's funny because I'm a person of process. Like, I think that process is very important. I
Hmm.
think that a lot of times people want to do something, but they don't understand what it takes to actually become the thing that they're aspiring to be or do. And
Hmm.
there's always steps and there's always a way to go through it so you can get to where it is that you want to be. So I think that's commendable for you to be able to take a situation as far as being in school, not being able to get a job, and then finding your the thing that makes you happy. When I
Right.
go to talk to students sometimes, and even some adults, but it was originated from when I would talk to the students at high schools, and my question would be, what would you do every day even if you didn't get paid?
Right.
And the reason why I would ask that question is because a lot of times people pick majors, people pick jobs, and people pick careers based upon the money aspect, but
Mhm.
nobody thinks about the fact that, do I like what it is that I'm going to do?
Right.
And so I realized this: when you chase purpose, money get jealous and chase you. And so oftentimes though, we have it the opposite. Most people chase money, and
Right.
then that's when you walk in the doctor office and the doctor said, because he really wanted to be in the rock band, but every day he got to get up and try to act like he like healing people when he
Right.
really don't. You
Right.
know what
Right.
I'm saying? He like healing people in a different way, because I think that music can be soothing, and I think that music can be a source of healing depending on how we use it.
Right.
And so like Mace, like, so, and when you talked about quality just now, I can honestly say that was one of the things that allowed me and attracted me to Iconic Visions. From the first film that I saw, that I did the hair for with Larry and
Mm.
Tiara was in the film.
Yeah.
And so, like, literally, it was funny because I did Tiara hair and I did Larry hair, but I didn't know that both of them were in the same film. And then when I saw the film, like, I was blown away by the quality and the fact that you were so young, and then all the aspects of, like, I'm big on cinematography.
Right.
Okay. I'm big on how it look. And
Mhm.
like, if I see a movie, it doesn't matter what platform it's on, but if I see it and the quality is bad, I really tend to not want to
Right.
see the film at all.
Right. Right.
And so, because the quality of it. And
Mhm.
so one of the things that really impressed me about what it is that you do is that from the beginning, from what I saw, you had great quality work. And from that movie, because what was the name of that short film?
All to myself.
Okay. So from All to Myself, and what year was that, Mace?
That we produced it in 2016.
Okay. So 7 years later, the quality is better.
Right.
Like, literally, the quality is better. And it was good then, but it's better now. Like, I appreciate the visuals that my all my five senses get when I watch Paralysis. Like,
Hmm.
one of the main reasons I got behind the project is because I, first of all, I believed in the fact, because I know that you do great work. But then it was one of those things that we're all from the DMV, because some of you know that I do movies. I work with HBO. I work with BET. I work with some great brands. I work with some great actresses and actors and all of those things. But I looked at the fact that Mace was doing a project and I'm from the DMV and we're from the DMV. So why not work together? And
Right.
so from that, when I saw the Paralysis for the first time at the premiere, I was literally blown away. So, Mace, can you do us a favor and bring everybody up to speed? Because I really want people to understand. A lot of times on social media, we'll promote something, but then we don't really understand what it is that we actually have privy to. Because with this type of short film, this thing blew my mind, y'all. Like, this was one of those things that fed every part of my five senses all at one time. And it was one of them, like, heart wrenching. I couldn't believe it. Oh my God, very intense. what's going to happen next type of situations. So Mace, can you tell us what was it that sparked the plug for you to create Paralysis, and then tell us some of the process that got you to this point?
Yeah, so the main catalyst behind it was the whole George Floyd incident, or the murder, I should say. And you know, everybody's emotions were running high at that point, and people were talking. I was hearing a lot of different conversations, and I was seeing a lot of different conversations on social media. Just people outraged and saying what they, you know, what they would have done if they were in that situation, if they would have witnessed, you know, an officer treating somebody in that way, right? And it was a lot of, you know, if I was there, I'd have tackled the cop, I'd have punched the cop, I'd have stomped him out, or whatever the case may be. And I was like, yeah, all right, you know, it sounds good, but I don't, you know, it's cap, as the kids say nowadays, right? So I'm like, I started thinking, okay, well, who would do something in this situation, right? And why don't people do something in this in those situations, right? And I just began to ask myself a lot of different questions, and that was a part of the brainstorming process. And that's how I came up with the concept for paralysis, right? It's really just a bunch of questions, and I'm just proposing them to the audience, right? So in paralysis, this is where, you know, we have a similar situation as the George Floyd incident, and we have bystanders who are in the neighborhood, you know, just happen, and they're witnessing this altercation that becomes violent. And the four poets, who are also actors in the film, are four of the bystanders in the crowd, and they begin to have these internalized thoughts in the form of a poem, right? And that's the way that audience is hearing their internal thoughts is through poetry, right? And I also have this theory of fictive kinship, where I believe that all black and brown people who are derivatives or descendants from slavery, we all have these trauma bonds that connect us, right? And I feel like, and I'm about to get a little deep here, let's stay with me, but I feel like when the media outlets are doing these mass broadcasts of black people being murdered, uh,
Okay.
um, you know, specifically when it comes to a white cop murdering a black individual, the way that they keep pushing these media, these news cycles, it's like nonstop, like 24/7. You know, CNN, all the local news channels, Fox News, of course, they just be going in with the same incident, showing it over and over and over again. And I think that they know that when they do that, they're tapping into this trauma that affects all of us, and it's almost like a reminder to keep black and brown people in check, and letting them know, like, hey, you guys are still the secondary citizens in this country. We still own you, we still
Wow.
owe you, right? And once we go into that trauma bond, it's kind of like we are operating all on the same wavelength of trauma,
Okay.
because you know, emotions have different frequencies, right? And then trauma being one of them, it's like we're all tapped into this wavelength, right? Of trauma, of pain, of just very high emotions, sadness. And that's what I wanted to depict in Paralysis. All four of these poets are operating on the same wavelength, and that's why the poem is interconnected. Why That's why the thoughts are, you know, kind of intermingled with one another.
So what made you incorporate poetry in the film initially? Because like the film itself is great, but
Mhm.
the poetry and the symmetry of the poetry is one of those things that pull you in a little bit more, because then it give you more background and dynamic, especially from our culture and from what we've experienced, and then the different perspectives from each poet. But like, what made you incorporate poetry
Mhm.
into the short film?
Yeah, but number one, I'm a fan of poetry. I'm a fan of spoken.
Okay. Okay.
Anybody who's been to the screenings, they've already heard me say that Baltimore has a very, very strong spoken word community, but it's very like underground, right? A lot of people don't know about it. So with this overall project, I wanted to bring the spoken word community and the independent film community in Baltimore and bring them together for one event, right? So that all of these talents could be showcased on the same platform, right?
Okay.
So that's number one. Number two, I feel like when words are used poetically, people receive them better or differently. I'll say differently, right? Because if you listen to the words, if you look at the lyrics of the poem, it's all the stuff that Black people have been saying for years and years and years, right? But normally it's Black people in a state of rage, in a state of rioting, or yelling because they're so the emotions are so high, right? But if you take those same words and put them in a poem, they kind of get across a little differently, right? And I feel like that's the case with most art forms, is that you're able to communicate in a different way to reach people in a different way,
Yes.
and it's not always about what you say, but how you say it. So the
Yes.
poetry is just a little bit more digestible for some people, right? And then, you know, once again, how the poets are saying what they're saying, I believe they're striking a lot of different emotional chords that otherwise wouldn't be hit. And yeah, it's that is one thing that I wanted to, just test out. It's a lot of social experiments in this film, like a lot. I haven't even scratched the surface. But yeah, I feel like the poetry is able to reach a different demographic, one that doesn't have Black or brown skin. I feel like it's able
Right.
to reach them in a different way, and they can actually, take the time to listen and hopefully hear us and comprehend.
Yeah, I think that is simply amazing. Like the first time that when we did the premiere, like the energy and the adrenaline rush of
Hmm.
all of my five senses, like literally, because somebody be like, well, how all five and you watching the movie, and what about smell? Like, because I was eating popcorn.
Right,
So I got that, you know what I mean?
right, right.
And just the, like, it was so much, and I was triggered,
Hmm.
because I don't have to be traumatized in the same facet that paralysis projects, but to have an experience that's relative to feeling that, and
Right.
then being able to connect with the poets was like what they were saying. And it's one of those things, like when they would say something, it's like just
Hmm.
how they said it, and then what they said, and then how it commingled. Like I really appreciate the creativity of the project.
Hmm.
Like that's what I look at. I look at the cohesiveness of the whole entire project, from what it looked like, what it sound like, the backdrop, the sound effects, the slow motion, the points. Like all of it was like, it was very well thought out, and it was very well executed. And so I think that that's something that we can look forward to in iconic visions future,
Hmm.
because it seems like that's your thing. And so I respect what you're creating, and I respect what you're doing, so much so that I gotta make sure, I'm like, well, what's going on next,
Right.
but do us a favor and share with those that don't know, like your upcoming, because now you're at the point where this is your third showing.
Right.
And so share with us, because then you're in a different part of the city. And
Hmm.
so share with us what you're looking for, and tell us a little bit about your next premiere.
Yeah, so a week from today, April 18th, 7 o'clock at Horizon Cinemas, the Sun Valley location in Glen Burnie, my hometown, the Dirty Bernie. Everybody
Hey,
come.
hey, we in the building.
You know what I mean? That's where we're gonna be at, and we're gonna bring the same show, the same energy, the same vibes. It's gonna be live poetry performances, then a film screening, and then a Q&A with myself and the poets and slash actors. So this is a jam-packed event. I think it's a one-of-a-kind event. I don't think I've attended any events where you can get a film screening, live poetry, and then hear from the people that's actually in the film. So I think it's rather unique. I think we're doing something that's groundbreaking, and I need y'all to pull up. I need y'all to pull up. Tickets are on sale right now. I mean, what we need to do is post the Eventbrite link, uh,
Okay.
follow up, and post the Eventbrite link in the Facebook comments.
We
But yeah,
definitely will. Like once the live is over, we can always put it back in there and
yep,
make sure that everybody gets the link, and then it's on your page and it's also on my page.
it's
And
everywhere.
so like I'm excited because every single time I walk away with a different emotion.
Mm,
Like the first time I was shocked, and
mm,
like I was like, woo, like I couldn't believe. I'm like, yo, this joint is vicious. And then the second time for me, I saw things that I didn't see at first, and then I literally was about to cry.
Mm.
And because you could feel what I appreciate about Paralysis is that I never expect the same thing twice. And
Mm.
I never expect it to be the same outcome, or that it's going to be like the premiere and then it was like the second screening when we did the one at Morgan. I anticipate what the next experience will be, because I think that when you talk about the aesthetics and you talk about the trauma in
Mm.
regards to tapping into Black and brown people that have experienced trauma, and that's the way that the media basically exploits us. The
Right.
thing of it is that then you bring a different essence in the room every single time. And
Mm.
so I look forward to seeing what it's like this time,
Right.
because the first time it was my emotions and everything was all over the place. The second time, like, I felt it deeply where I cried,
Mm.
like literally tears came to my eyes. And then the way that the poets that are in the film even gave us samples of what their other work was outside of the film, and it just gave a different type of experience. I've been to a lot of premieres, and most premieres they show the movie,
Right.
you kind of meet and greet, and you go home. But
Right.
but with this, and yes, they do have a question and answer segment, but I'll say this: nobody question and answer segment is like ours, because I'm the host. And so we bring big energy in the room, and
Right.
then bring diversification to the questions, because I don't ask simple questions.
Mm.
My last time that we I noticed something in the film in regards to one of the poets, his look when he said a certain line, and I drew from that, and I asked him what that meant and why was it that he actually matriculated that scene to that degree. And then he spoke on something very profound. And so it gives you more in depth of the talent and the creativity that went into, Paralysis. So I'm really, really excited. I look forward to it. Don't discount the fact that you literally are going to experience something that you haven't experienced. Like, if you've never been to a premiere of a movie, you should come so
Mm.
you can experience that, but then also to be able to experience a film, a premiere, and poetry. I'm telling y'all, the poets are a beast. But
Mm.
and what I appreciate about them is that they're cultured.
Right.
Because they tap into stuff, I'll be like, I ain't even never think about that, but it's truth. And then I'll be like, yeah, they did do that. I forgot about that too.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really is a great experience overall, like literally. And so for me, I think that it's one of those things that you have to experience for yourself. No matter what we say and how we say it, it still doesn't demonstrate or give you enough of what it's really like to be in the room. And
Mm.
so I'm excited that next Tuesday we're literally going to be at a premiere in Glen Burnie. And what makes me more excited is that it is in our hometown. And so every other place was in the city. So now we're bringing it to the Bernie, and
Right.
we're bringing it to Anne Arundel County. So Anne Arundel County, show up and show out. Come with your great energy, come with anticipation, come with expectation. Because really, literally, honestly, excitedly, Paralysis really does feed all five of your senses. And when you leave, you will feel empowered, inspired in some facet.
Right.
It gives you a sense, like it connected me back to my roots, like, yeah, that's right, I am her.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also pushed me to where, so yeah, they do that.
Right.
And then now, yeah, and then it made me ask myself, what would I do?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've always been that person where I'm like one of the questions that I always ask is, after every time we see somebody get killed, what's the first thing that we do as a race is we march. Like, why are we marching?
Right.
Because to me, marching is cool because that's what we do. But then I'm a results oriented person, so
Right.
y'all get a little bit it gets a lot. What's the word I could use? It gets exciting to see and hear the responses coming from the poets, because these are well cultured poets.
Right.
These
Right.
aren't poets that just do poetry because they like words.
Decent.
These are poets that are like connected to culture way
Yeah.
past what we can conceptualize.
Right. Right.
And it really brings a different dynamic to the film. So Maceo, if you could do us a favor, and at this point we're going to come to a close of the interview, but What is it that you want to say? What is it that you want to exonerate? What is it that you want to show and share at this point? Being as though we're 1 week away from your premiere for Glen Burnie, the city where you're from, the backdrop of where you're from, where it all started, where it all began. So tell us what it is that you want us to know.
Yeah, there's never been an event like this in Glen Burnie ever, and I'm gonna stamp that
Facts.
and buy it because it's Glen Burnie. It's not like it's not like the most poppin' town on the planet. You feel me? So it's stuff like this don't even happen here. You know what I mean? So I would be
Right.
a very, very unique experience if if y'all choose to pull up, what y'all need to do. Definitely pull up. This is a film that's different from most poetic films. I've seen a lot of different poetic films, and it's usually just a lot of different video portraits with the poem as a backdrop, right? Or vice versa. The poem is the leader, and then the visuals are just complementary to what you're listening to, right?
Okay.
Paralysis, all elements of the film work, you know, like you mentioned earlier, it's a cohesive piece. So the poem is driving the narrative forward, the cinematography driving the narrative forward, the editing, the sound design, the music, right? All of that is working in cohesion and really driving to narrative, and it's driving the narrative forward and creating a very unique experience. Which you want to, like you said, it's definitely going to tap into all your senses, right? Like all at once.
It really do. It
um,
really do.
and that was with intention, right? It's I wanted everything to be moving and driving forward, and everybody to be immersed into this world. And I think that's what the piece does. I think I was able to accomplish that, and it's gonna be dope. I think it's gonna, like I said before, it's never been done before in Anne Arundel County. I'm bringing a very unique entertainment experience to that part of Maryland. So, with that being said, I hope y'all pull up. Be on the lookout for a lot more upcoming projects from Iconic Visions. Um, Paralysis has already been accepted into 2 film festivals, nominated for Best Art Film in the Las Vegas Black Film Festival.
Dope.
Accepted.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Accepted into the Los Angeles Black Film Festival, and I just submitted to like 10 more the other day, waiting to hear back from like 15 others, and I got like 50 more on my list. So we just getting started.
Awesome.
This is very, very in its infant phases or stage, in terms of marketing and distribution. So the end result is to get this on BET Plus or Revolt TV, Quayle TV, Amazon Prime. I think Netflix might have a short film platform. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into it. But
All of it. Yes.
if they do, we pulling up, and I'm gonna say, hey, y'all need to stream this. Stop playing. Don't play yourself. Let's
Yes.
get
Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with it.
right.
Like in
That
real life. Listen. So I'm gonna bring it to a close because I think Maceo said more than enough to share and show you who Iconic Visions is, who he is as a writer, producer, and a director, and then the fact of where Iconic Visions is going, but then what Paralysis is. Literally, the name of the film is Paralysis, and it literally do make you feel paralyzed. It's one of those. It's like, what just happened? And I'm excited because I look forward to what happens this time. And
mm-hmm.
don't discount yourself and do yourself a favor. Literally buy a ticket and be there in the building next Tuesday. You're not doing nothing. It's when you get off work. It's one of those things that you get to experience. Like, let's make sure that in Glen Burnie we show up and show out, because Maceo can be anywhere doing anything, but to get behind somebody that's creating something that's of culture, that's creating something that's positive. He could be anywhere in the world doing everything that we know that a lot of other young Black men are doing, and he's taking his time to create something positive. That's enough just to support that within itself, because a lot of times we point the finger at what our Black men aren't doing and talk about what we're not doing, but then talk about what they're not doing. But then what happens then? Hey, Dorian. And then what happens then is that it comes to a point where when you see the Black man doing something positive, support him.
Right.
We
Right.
need you in the building. Not because we need you to fill the seats, but because we want to fill your heart. Not
Right.
because we need the money, but because we want you to experience something different than what you've been experiencing. If you could take the time to go to the happy hour, and you could take the time to go to the club, and you could take the time to go anywhere else. Hey, Pooh, how you doing? If you could do all of those things, this is a great time to take $20 and invest in something bigger than you. Because let me tell you something about a seed. The seed you keep is the least it will ever be, but the seed you sow, it actually goes in your future and creates a harvest. I promise you. And when you sow on good ground, you can't not get a harvest. And I ain't saying that to preach. I'm telling you for principle, to tell you the truth about a seed. Because this young man is going somewhere. This young man is creative. This young man is literally on the verge of a breakthrough in the facet of the film world, because he's so meticulous on everything that he's doing to make sure that he creates a great film every single time Iconic Vision touches something. And so I'm telling you, you need to be in the building, because I definitely be there. All right.
Already.
Yeah. So listen, guys, that's the end. We came to an end. Sorry to go, but we got to go and move to the next thing. But I pray that you heard something that compelled you to take some time to invest in something to this degree, because literally it's one of those things that you got to experience. We can't bottle it up and sell it to you and allot you to feel what we feel, but it's worth the investment to come and sit down and experience a feature film for yourself, especially if you've never been to one. You got to be there just so you can say that you went. But then to be there to know that you were in the beginning processes of our very own Glen Burnie, Anne Arundel County director, producer, and writer that's creating something in the film world, and you were there in the beginning. I think that means a lot. So I look forward to seeing y'all. I look forward to hugging y'all neck. I look forward to dialoguing with you, because at the session in a week on April the 18th, I'm literally going to be the person that's hosting the question and answer segment, and I would love to hear what you have to say. All right, guys, thank you. We appreciate you. See you at the top, because the bottom's too crowded. And you already know stunting is a habit. Get like Jesus. I'm officially the queen of the upgrade. I love y'all like the real kind. God bless.
All right. Peace, Mo.